Okay guys, let's get started. So it's been a little while since I have last uploaded a video. We'll get started today with one of the games that I played a few days ago against an opponent who was like 2100 rated in Leeches, while I am around 2000, 2020. Let's jump right into it. So the first move that he played was knight to f3. I chose to play d4. The opponent started with g3. And he's trying to get into a kind of a Catalan kind of a structure, I feel. And I kept on playing a line which I typically play in these structures. Castle, I played knight to f6, and he attacked the center. I took, he took back. I played the knight up, just normal developing moves. He started attacking my central pawn with his c pawn, with c4. The computer suggests something like moving the bishop out of the way to get the king castled here. I just played e5, and this is clearly a mistake, and you can see the evaluation suddenly jumps from plus 0.5 to more than plus 2 for my opponent. So he took, this is almost 3 now, plus 3. So he took again here, and I clearly understood that I have to take with my with my knight here, because there will be a lot of pressure on this pawn once I take with the pawn. So once I say, for example, I take with the pawn, the bishop can naturally come here, and this pawn is very weak, right? Because it is getting attacked by the king, by the queen and the bishop, and this knight is pinned, right? So even if he just simply takes, so say if you just attack it, right, like this, right? Simply takes, I have to take with my queen, not to damage my structure, and this pawn simply falls. There is no way that I can save it, and then there is direct attack on my rook at that point in time, which I have to move. So it becomes a little bit of a nightmare. Then the queen comes here, then I can't castle, and there's a lot of challenges. So what I did, I simply took with my knight, which is the best move, but you can already see that my structure is a little damaged, right? And that's why my opponent has a little bit of an advantage here. One thing I would like to mention is that positional advantages at our level is something very difficult to convert unless and until there is a direct checkmate or a direct piece that we are winning through this positional advantage. If it's just a few pawns here and there, we at our level find it very difficult to convert. And I knew that I wasn't probably, and you don't see the evaluation when you play the game, right? So I knew that I was probably not doing great, and my opponent also knew that he probably had a better position than I did, but we don't see a clear path ahead, right? So he played the best move in this position, which was queen up, right? And what the computer suggests me to play is the bishop here, right? But the bishop here blocks the queen from protecting the knight, and the bishop also is very passive, kind of defending this pawn, no other job that the bishop is doing at this point in time. So it's a little difficult move to play. So what I played was this, which is a slight inaccuracy, which is second best move in the position, but it's a slight inaccuracy. And I couldn't play something like this, simply because the bishop can take here and you can't take back because your queen is hanging. So I just played the next best move that seemed to me, that came to me at that point in time, to protect this pawn, as well as take my, as well as develop my queen, which was queen to b6. He started putting pressure on this knight here, which is the right thing to do. He's also developing his pieces, which is again the right thing to do. So I started to solidify this knight here, because unless and until I do that, this is a dual attack here, so you'll probably end up losing a pawn. So I added one more defender. He took. Again, I could have taken with the pawn here, But again, I felt that his bishop in this position will be an attacking piece, while my bishop in this position, if I, for example, if I take with my pawn, in this position, his bishop is an attacking piece, while my bishop is a defending piece, which I don't like. So I took with my bishop, and look at this computer, evaluation at this point in time, or what the computer asks you to play. It asks white to take this bishop and give away its, most powerful piece, most powerful minor piece on the board, which is the Scatlan bishop, to put pressure like this, and just prevent me from castling ever. Okay, I can't castle from here on. But it is something, it's a move that white will rarely consider, just because of the fact that giving away this bishop is so against the norm for the white player. This bishop is looking over this entire diagonal. So when I put my bishop here, he's thinking that at least I am not going to take it. If you want to take my bishop, well and good, waste your move. But I am not going to take this bishop as long as, as long as I have this incredible Catalan bishop, I have opportunities on the queen side. So he did not take it, and instead of that, he developed a piece and attacked my queen. I just moved my queen back. I still had to keep. I still can't come here because this tactic still exists and my queen falls. So I came here. I'm putting pressure on this pawn, right? So the only defender is this queen here. I'm also protecting this, and if the capture happens here, I'm protecting this pawn here as well, the eventual pawn here as well. So that's where we end, and still he has a substantial positional advantage. He is like plus 3.2 up. But this is what happens. Like, you don't know what's the next best move. You think this pawn is attacked, and I need to protect it to make sure that my queen can move around after this. So he plays something like this, which is not great. It allows me opportunity to play my bishop up, and now I'm ready to get castled. So here I play the bishop up here to e7, readying for me to get ready for castling. The reason I did not play the bishop up here is I thought this pawn was not attacked, so there was no point in defending it and being a passive bishop right from the beginning. I wanted to capture this diagonal once I move the bishop on this f6 square and attack this entire diagonal. Also, I was aware that my opponent can play something like this, and if I take, he takes with his queen. I can't castle, right? I can't castle right away. So, but having the bishop here, if you put your bishop here, I can castle, and if you take, I can take with my queen, because the queen attacks. So the queen protects this square, but it does not protect this square. So that was another reason. So I played my bishop up to e7. The queen comes up. So the queen now attacks this pawn, because that was probably his idea of moving this pawn up. I can't take this pawn anymore. And the queen is attacking this pawn, which is on e5. So my idea was anyways to defend it with my bishop. Apparently that's not a good move. The best move is to play is to defend with my pawn. But I don't like pushing my f pawn in front, especially when I'm thinking of castling on this side. So I just put the bishop here. Again, not the best move. But now why this is not that good is because of the next move that my opponent plays, which is the bishop to c5. Now it again tries to prevent me from getting castled. My opponent has more development. His king is castled, so he's putting the right kind of pressure and not allowing me to castle on my own terms. So what I do here, I simply play this move, right? And if you see that, okay, you prevent me from castling, but I am now attacking this pawn of yours, right? So what my opponent does is, instead of just playing something which is solid like this and just putting my king in complete misery, not allowing me to castle, and if I just take this, he can always come here and attack this pawn. Yeah. He says that if, okay, you want to go ahead and take this pawn, I'm going to take this pawn. You want, what my opponent tries to do is to counter attack, right? So my opponent is saying that, okay, you want to take this pawn, but when you take this pawn, I'll take this one, right? So he tries to attack my pawn here, which is a little bit of a false move. He thinks that I'll play this, right? And what will happen is that he'll attack me here. Once I move, you can take here, right? It's great for him, right? So he gets his pawn back, and he starts attacking my king directly. Like, he has a lot of discoveries right here. It's miserable, right? So, but there is a tactic here. You practice enough tactics, you start spotting these things, right? And that's what you want to do. So checks, captures, and threats. There is no check here, as you can see from the position, but there is a decent capture, and then there is a loose piece. So we capture. If the king captures back, you come here. It's a check, and it's a free piece. So I took, he took, I got a check in. He attacked my queen, did not move his king. I took back the bishop. So I'm a clear piece up, and for the first time in the position, I am up materially, and I'm up positionally as well. So it's actually great for me in this position, and I'm completely winning against a higher rated player. So I know that still my king is not castled, so he'll come hard, and he'll try to attack as much as possible. So he puts his rook in the open file. I put my queen here on e7. He came back with the other rook, attacking the weak pawn on c6, and then I had to move my queen again. So there was a loss in tempo that I had to face because of this entire thing, right? Then he kept pushing with his pawn. He wants to dislodge my bishop and make it even more passive, and also try to open up the king side. I simply castled. I didn't see too much of a threat because I thought that I could always retreat my bishop here, and then the queen is alone here. The queen can't do much. He played with his rook here. The rook is protected. I can't take it. But I played a sly move. I came down to c8, and this rook is pinned. If you move the rook, right? If you move the rook anywhere, and the computer is suggesting him to remove the rook, what I'll simply do is I'll exchange the queens. There are too many major pieces on board for me to be comfortable with one minor piece advantage. So he knows that. So my opponent knows that he can't move his rook. So what he does, he thinks that he can dislodge my bishop, but this dislodging of bishop will not work here, because I can simply take, right? And if you take, and this queen is overburdened, if he takes here, I can take the rook. So he just gives away a pawn. My opponent can't even take this pawn here, because again, the same issue. I'll take the rook. So he just gives away a pawn here, and his rook is attacked also by my bishop. So it's a little difficult position for him. He comes back and reinstates his other rook here. So now the queen is free to take my bishop, but of course I'll not give him that opportunity. I come back to f6. So these are I think the two main tactical blows which won the game for me. So that's why I keep saying that tactics are extremely important. I started my journey, and I wanted, now look, I want to go to this square and start attacking the queen. And I want to be as close to the king side as possible with my queen, so that my opponent does not have enough attacks. Also, at one point in time, I want to bring this rook here to the middle of the board and start challenging this file. So for all of that, I just moved and fiddled with my queen a little bit. He went directly on the other side. Now he is looking to put very cheap threats, which is like these maiden ones right here. So in a long time format game, you typically don't fall for it, which I did not. Uh, and then he's trying to bring all his pieces on the king side to get or to generate some attack. I give him the queen. If he wants to take, he can. Of course, he doesn't. Right? That's chess psychology. Even if that is the best move, right? He won't take it because you don't want to exchange queens in this position. He goes away. He's not just down a full piece. He's also down a pawn, which is going to be enough for me to win the game. So next, I just move my bishop up. I know it can't be challenged by this pawn because it is blocked, and by this pawn because I'll take with this pawn. So my bishop here stands perfectly fine without any threats. It also cuts down. So he comes and attacks the bishop. The idea is here, take the bishop, and if I capture with my pawn, this is checkmate here or checkmate here, right? So I knew that. I played my queen here, as simple as that. I'm again asking for a queen exchange if you want. If you take my bishop here, I'll just recapture with my queen, not moving this pawn, and I should be okay. So that's the last, I think, try that my opponent did. He took with the rook, hoping for me to capture with my pawn, and so that he can give me a mate on h8 square. But I captured with my knight. Sorry, but I captured with my queen, and he resigned at this point in time. So a completely winning game for my opponent because he just played the opening far better than I did. But tactically, I got certain opportunities which I made the best use of. So I think that's the summary of the game. So that's why I keep telling people who watch my videos, just keep practicing tactics as much as you can, so that you can spot these and win games against tougher opponents who will not simply hang a piece. So thanks everyone. Take care. Bye bye.